Well, here we are in the new digs, and yes, all the lighting fun that is trying to record a video in a confined space is lots and lots of fun, especially the first time you have to set it back up and you got to rearrange the lights and make sure they're all pointed in the right place. And so I really want to talk to you today about just a couple of things. I want to start with welcome back. For those of you who've been paying attention to the Leading Leaders podcast for some time now, you'll know that we've been taking a hiatus as we relocated our family and our offices to another space. And so for now, this will be our recording space until future notice. Maybe there'll be something bigger on the horizon soon. But for right now, this is where we are. And I hope this works out well for you, and I hope it works out well for us for the ongoing recordings. But the purpose of Leading Leaders podcast is really pretty simple and clear, and that is we understand that leadership is, for some, a very vague notion. And by that I mean, when I talk to some people and I say, I'm a leadership coach, they say, oh yeah, we know all about leadership. We've been to the Chamber of Commerce with the leadership group for our local community, or we know all about leadership. I took leadership in high school, or we don't know all about leadership. I served on the student council in high school. And while there are great leaders who start in those arenas, and there are great leaders who serve in those arenas, there are some principles of leadership that are pretty profound and yet very simple. And the reality is, if those are not a part of your life on a daily basis, if you're not intentional about those things, about doing what leading requires, the influence that you're going to have, the impact that you're going to have is going to be a little bit limited. And along the way, no matter how old you are, no matter how mature you are, no matter how educated you are, you need some personal growth. You need to continue to develop you. You never reach a place in this life where you are 100% good to go and everything is all hunky-dory and you've solved every problem and there will never be another challenge for you to solve. In fact, so long as you're alive, there will be challenges for you to solve. So long as you're here, there will be things that you need to work out. Leading Leaders podcast is based on that reality. It's also based on the reality that I don't walk that journey ahead of you. I walk it with you. I have challenges in my own life. And every day I turn to mentors, I turn to books, I turn to ancient resources to find answers to problems that I have right now that I simply don't know the answer to. I require and I request for others to pour into my life, to speak into me, to challenge me, to ask questions, to answer questions I haven't asked yet. And I believe that all of us in the area of leadership development need to continue to do the same thing. John Maxwell calls it the destination disease. We believe that when we arrive somewhere that we're all done, the journey's over. We're so focused on, so intent on having accomplished, having sought out and reached that destination that the process along the way sometimes gets ignored. When truly, it's the process that changes who we are. It's the process which makes us who we are. The destination is kind of the reward along the way. And if you reach one destination and you stop because you reach that job title, that degree, that place in life from a financial standpoint, that marriage, if that's what you were seeking, that first child, if that was your goal, that lake house, that boat, that whatever it is, whatever goal you've established out there and said, one day I will. When you reach that place, if you stop striving, trying, attempting, and growing, you'll stagnate and die right there. The hope is that you will set goals and possibilities and dreams and potential so far out in front of you that in some ways they seem impossible, so that you'll continue to strive for them. Leading Leaders podcast is about that reality. Leading Leaders podcast is also about the reality that, and again, if you've watched a while, you've heard me say this, being authentic and being offensive are not the same thing. being authentic and being offensive are not the same thing. Just because someone is willing to say whatever comes out of their mouth, whatever rolls across their tongue without any discretion or regard for the sensitivity or the hearings or the opinions of others, doesn't mean they're authentic. At Leading Leaders Podcast, one goal is to be authentic, but it's also to be tempered with faith. We are faith, family, and freedom focused. Try saying that 5 times real fast. Faith, family, and freedom focused. Faith comes first. Family comes next. If ever you see me miss an episode of Leading Leaders Podcast, chances are really high it had to do with a family transition, a family change. An example might be this week on Friday. This podcast will be from somewhere else because my daughter's getting married. And we will be close enough to the wedding to be there on Saturday morning because it's about an 8-hour drive. So Friday morning, I will be delivering this podcast from somewhere else. Now, one of the promises that I made in the transition of the podcast would be that we would do Facebook live stream, but it wouldn't stay on Facebook. That it would be up there only while it was live and then it would be deleted. Already, in this new place, Facebook has decided not to participate in that way. I've started it 3 times this morning, and apparently it's just not going to play nice. And that's one of the reasons that we have not decided to rely on Facebook as a place. Now, we will still advertise this podcast on Facebook and probably will continue to do some short clips from the overall video on Facebook as teasers to drive you to the podcast. But the podcast will be housed on YouTube and iTunes, and very soon on a membership website. I was hoping to have that set up. The move took a lot more of my energy than I thought it was going to. Also to let you know that in the very near future, in fact, this week we will begin, next week we will complete production on all of the digital packages, what we call the intros and outros, the lower thirds, and all of that good stuff. We've hired a couple of professionals to help us build those for broadcast television. And we are now up to 3 networks that the Transforming Grace, Meet the Messenger, and Tell It Like It Is TV episodes will begin to air on, with some new format ideas that I think will be pretty exciting for those of you who get a chance to watch them. So by the end of April, you will be able to find the Leading Leaders Podcast on iTunes, Tell It Like It Is TV on all of the OTT platforms such as Roku and Kindle Fire and Apple TV, etc., Google Play. And you'll also be able to find Meet the Messenger and Transforming Grace, which are the other 2 interview shows. You'll be able to find those on all of those OTT platforms and on some broadcast and cable subscription offers as well. We'll let you know about those when all the deals are finalized, but I want you to know that what we're doing isn't stopping. It is continuing to expand, and we are constantly looking for partners to expand with. Tell It Like It Is TV is actually its own website, tellitlikeitis.tv. And it's more than just the Leading Leaders Podcast. It is the house of all of these things available online. And if you are a content provider and you're providing things that fit into that structure, faith, family, and freedom oriented, then we would love to talk to you about the opportunity to have your content on that site and available via subscription. So feel free to reach out to us and let us know that you'd like to. You can send an email to Loren@tellitlikeitis.tv, and we'll have a conversation about how your content can also be on that website. I want to transition now into just a quick lesson. This is something that I've studied from a lot of different angles, from psychologists and psychiatrists to life coaches and leadership coaches to theologians. And it does seem that this particular pyramid, for lack of a better term, and I don't have my whiteboard set up, but this pyramid is a pretty basic foundation of the understanding of how people find results in their life. And if you could picture a pyramid and the base of that pyramid being the experiences of your life, the experiences, the things that happen to you, Now, you've heard me say 1,000 times, and Dr. Caroline Leaf says it, Jack Canfield says it. It's a pretty well-known and acknowledged understanding of the psychology of our brain that we can't control the events that happen to us. We can't control the decisions of people around us. What we have control over in our life is how we choose to respond to those things. So the experiences of our life are kind of the foundation upon which we build everything else. The next is our actual belief about that experience and what it says to us, what it says about us. If someone crashes a car into us at a red light, and our belief system says, well, I deserve that, I was doing whatever, or I deserve that because I'm just that kind of person, or isn't that just my luck that someone else would crash my car at the red light? Then our belief system about our own self-worth, our belief system about what we've done wrong, our belief system about what we deserve, then alters our ability to perceive the experience that just happened. We can't change the event, but we can change how we respond to it, and that will change our outcome. So given whatever expense it is, someone walks up to you randomly on the street and hands you a $100 bill, if you think to yourself, well, I don't really deserve that, then you might just give it back, or you might turn and hand it to someone else, or you might even accuse them of trying to bribe you or something of that nature because your belief system about yourself and about others is at a place where simply receiving a gift doesn't fit the way you view life. On the other hand, if your belief system says, I deserve good gifts to come my way, I deserve random strangers to hand me money, I deserve for checks to show up in my mailbox. Well, there might be a fine line between I deserve and entitlement, but it might simply be a way of looking at the world saying all of the world is conspiring to do good for me. Imagine what your life would be like if your belief system said, all of the world is conspiring to do good to me. Everything in the universe wants my life to be better. God and all of the angels of heaven are working to make my life better. Then some random stranger hands you a $100 bill, and instead of questioning their motives or questioning their intent or questioning your worth, you simply say, look at there. I was right. All of the angels of heaven, all of the universe are conspiring together to do good to me. And it really is about your belief system and your perspective on the events that are happening. If there's a crash at the red light, and your worldview, your own expression of life is to say, I believe that everything in the universe is conspiring to bring good things into my life. The car that crashes into you at the red light may become a new friend. The car that crashes you into the red light may give you an excuse to buy a new car and the funds to do it. It may be that that crash at the red light delayed you from being hit by a train that was unnoticed. All of the things in life can be viewed as good or bad. There are very few things that are so isolatedly bad, so bad that you can only see them as bad and destructive. But now that we know that our experiences come through the filter of our beliefs and how we respond to our experiences based on what we believe, we'll modify the outcome. And here's how. Your choices sit on top of your beliefs. So you have experience, and then choice, and then experience, belief, and then choice. So whatever you believe about the event that just happened, about the experiences that you've had from 2 years ago or 22 years ago, the belief you have about those experiences will influence the choices that you make. The car behind you bumps you at the red light or crashes into you and breaks out your taillights at the red light, and because of your belief system, you believe this person's conspiring to destroy your life. So you jump out of the car, you make the choice to scream and yell and throw a temper tantrum and start a fist fight, and you end up in jail. Well, did you have a night in jail because of someone crashing into your car, or because your belief system said that it was an evil intent and your choices were to react in anger? Let's take that same scenario the other way. Someone crashes into your car at a red light. You jump out of your car believing that all the world is conspiring to do good to you. You run back there to the other driver, and what's the first thing you say? Again, your choices. You can't change the event. You can change how you respond to it. That will change your outcome. And so you run back to the car behind you and you say, are you okay? I hope you're fine. I hope there were no injuries whatsoever. The cars can be fixed. It's no big deal. In fact, maybe this is an excuse to buy a new one, but I hope you're okay. Do you see how quickly that whole event changes? When your belief system believes good and your choices respond to that good belief system? Because see, the final thing in this simple pyramid is results. That's the outcome. E plus R equals O. The event plus how you respond to it equals your outcome. The experience plus the belief plus the choices you make based on those beliefs equal your results. Now, here's where we have to be very cautious, especially as leaders, sitting outside and looking at someone else's pyramid. We often, as leaders, will look at the results alone. Think about it. We do year-end reviews. We do personality assessments. We do tests and exams. And all of those are focused on the top part of that triangle. The top part of that pyramid, that top triangle says results. We want to measure results, nothing else, just the results. We don't ask ourselves about the choices that led to the results when we're talking about an employee or a vendor or a student. We only measure the results. And we measure those results against results of their peers, against a standard result response. Well, everyone else who's taken this test has scored like this. That's why they call it a bell curve. A few people failed. A few people did stellar. Most of them scored right around here. So we kind of want to look at those in the norm being right around here. So we measure the results, the standard of the results against everyone else. The experience plus the belief plus the choice leads to the result. Let me help you understand something. Result often looks like circumstances. Let that sink in for a second. Results often look like circumstances. So if I find myself behind on my bills, if I find myself tortured in my relationships, if I find myself not getting along with my wife or having a hard time with my kids or not succeeding at my career field or my job, then I might believe, because results and experiences are a feedback loop, I might believe then that my life never will get better, and so I choose to simply live in the negative side. I choose to continue to believe that my life will never get better, which brings about what results? Well, if I believe that my life is a failure, my life is going to be a failure. If I believe that everyone is conspiring to do me harm, then everything will be perceived as though anything someone has done is meant to hurt me somehow. And as long as I live my life with that belief system, the choices I make will become self-fulfilling prophecies. The results in my life will look like everyone is conspiring to do me harm, not that everyone is conspiring to do me good. The belief system that you hold is based on your experiences and your choices. It's sandwiched right between them. There's a place where you've got to break that pattern. And when we're back here on Leading Leaders Podcast tomorrow, I'm going to help you understand how to interrupt the cycle from experience to belief to choice to result back to experience, because you know as well as I do that sometimes the most influential experiences in your life are the circumstances you find yourself in right now, and those are the result of your choices and belief system. And yes, it is a vicious cycle. There is a way to break it. We'll talk about that here next time.